Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. So on today's video we are going to be making this Bubu dress with a camp collar and fringes at the bottom, as you can see. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around and let's get right into this video. So this is the fabric we are going to be working with, and I got 2.5 yards of this fabric, and you can see that it's very soft. So this is what we're going to be working with. Let's get right into the cutting part. So now I'm just going to place this on fold. As you can see, our fabric is already on fold, and what we're going to do is we're going to mark out the length of our dress. The length we're going to be working with here is 40 inches, so I'm going to be marking that out. My table is not big enough, so you won't be able to see the markings at the bottom, but I just went ahead to mark out 40 inches as my length that I'll be working with. So I'm going to mark that out, and then I'm going to rule this out. So when I'm done ruling this out, I'm going to go ahead to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is going to be 19 inches. And that's the measurement we're going to be working with all the way down. So this is what we have right now. You can see that we have 19 inches all the way down from the shoulder to the bottom part of our dress. That is what we are going to be working with. 38 inches divided by 2 is 19 inches, so that is what we have. So I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. If you have any questions, do not forget to leave it in the comment section below. Like I said earlier, my table is not big enough, so you might not see some aspects of what we are doing here, but I'm just cutting out the length, and then the shoulder measurement, like I said earlier, is 19 inches, and I went ahead to cut that from the top all the way to the bottom. So we have 19 inches at the top all the way to the bottom. After cutting it out, we're going to start working on the neckline. So I'm just going to mark the width of my neck. That is going to be 6 inches divided by 2 is 3 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to mark this out. And then for the depth, we are going to be working with, for the back part of our for the back part, we are going to be working with 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to mark that out. So after that, from this point here, we're going to come down by 1 inch, and this is going to be for our shoulder slope because our shoulder is not straight. So we're going to mark 1 inch there, and then we're going to rule this to meet with our neckline we had marked out already. So this is what the back piece is looking like after we're done cutting this out. Now we're going to set this aside and work on the front piece. So for the front piece, we're going to be drafting this on our pattern paper, and you can see I went ahead to roll out the lines. This is my bust point, my under bust point, and my half length, which is 17 inches. So we're just going to start putting in our measurements. So from this point here, I'm going to come in by 1 inch. This is going to be for our button, where our button is going to overlap. So I'm just going to rule this out. So now our measurement is going to start from this part here we have left. So I'm going to start by marking out my neckline, which is our width is 3 inches, and the depth we are going to be working with here is going to be 3.5 inches, and I'm going to rule this out after I was done marking them out. So guys, because the pattern paper is not wide enough, I'm just going to come down here by 1 inch, and I'm going to slant, but we are going to be making corrections when we are transferring our patterns back to the fabric. So I just slanted by 1 inch. So we've gone ahead to slant the shoulder part, and we're not going to be doing much on this part because the pattern does not have an armhole. We are going to be focusing more on the front part of our pattern. So I'm going to go ahead to extend this line here. So next I'm just going to place my pattern master here, and we're going to rule a V shape all the way to our bust point line. So we are going to just rule this V shape line all the way to the bust point, the way you see me doing right now. So this is what we have right now. After that, we are going to be bringing in the back piece of our dress we cut out earlier. So this is the back piece, and I'm going to place this on fold, and then we're going to take note of the measurement we have at the neckline area. So I'm just going to place my tape like so, and I'm going to take note of what I have. What I have there is 4.75. So we are going to be using that measurement to draft the collar part of this dress. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark 4.75 at the top there, and you're not going to be marking this straight, you're going to be doing this slanted. I hope you can see what we're doing here. You're going to mark this, and then you're going to rule this from the neckline you have there down to that point, and you can see that this is slanted. It's not straight, it is slanted, so take note of that. So what we're going to do next is, from that line we created initially, we're going to come out by 1/4 of an inch, and then we're going to roll this back down. So this is going to be the new line we're going to be working with. I'm going to be cancelling out the other line so you know the line we're working with. After that, we're going to come in here by 3.5 inches for the collar, and we're going to slant this to meet with the line we had rolled out initially. And you can see that the line here as well is not straight but slanted slightly. So from this point here, I'm going to come up by 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to rule this line to meet with my neckline there, the way you see me doing right now. After that, I'm going to extend the line from this top here to meet with the bottom one we had ruled out. So I'm just going to rule this out. And you can see that the line is not straight, it is a bit curvy, so please take note of that as well. So I'm going to just rule this down and cut everything out, because like I said, this is not long enough, so we are going to be extending this when we are cutting on our fabric. So now we are going to go ahead to cut everything out. So this is our pattern piece we'll be working with, and for this part here, we're going to be slanting it when we cut on our fabric. So I'm just folding this down to show you what the camp collar is going to be looking like when we attach this, when we are done sewing and all. So we are going to go ahead to just cut on our fabric now. So guys, I went ahead to put the fabric on fold, as you can see, and I'm bringing in the pattern we just drafted, and I'm going to pin this down so we can be able to cut this out. And the length is 17 inches, which is my half length. This is because the button down is going to be an illusion button, and it's not going to be all the way down, so it's just going to be from the top to the half length area. So that is why we are going to be stopping this at 17 inches. And you can see that the pattern is not complete, as I mentioned earlier, but I went ahead to fill it up. So we are going to be working with 19 inches for our shoulder, the way I explained earlier. So I went ahead to mark that out, so you can see what we have here is 19 inches, along with the button 1 inch we have here. So this is what we are going to be working with. I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. So this is what it is looking like so far. So we are going to go ahead to slope our shoulder from this point here. We are going to be coming down by 1 inch, and we are going to slant that and cut it out. So guys, when we're done cutting this out, we should have something like this. So this is what the upper part of the front piece is looking like. You can see when we're done, our collar should be looking something like this. So we are going to set this aside and go ahead to cut the remaining part of our bottom piece. But first, I'm going to take note of the inches I have here, and this is 18 inches, and this is because we have ½ inch to join the bottom and the shoulder joining together. So now we're going to be cutting the bottom part, the remaining bottom parts we have. So what we have left from 17 inches all the way to 40 inches, because our initial length is 40 inches, and we've already taken out 17 inches. So what we are going to be having left is 23 inches. But take note that we are going to be adding ½ inch at the top for joining allowance to join the upper part to the down part. So we are going to take note of that, and we're going to mark this at the top as well as at the bottom part. So because this is a free dress, as usual, we're still going to mark our shoulder measurement, which is 19 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to mark that out, rule everything, and then we're going to cut it out. So because the length we're working with is 23 inches, and we're going to be adding ½ inch at the top as well as at the bottom for folding allowance, what we're going to be cutting out in total is going to be 24 inches, and then we're going to attach it to the top part. So we're done cutting this out. We are going to go ahead to keep this aside and work on the upper parts. So here I went ahead to place our collar piece, and this is actually on fold, and we're going to cut this out. And you can see that as I'm cutting this, I'm leaving ½ inch all the way around. This is going to help us sew, and when we're done cutting, we're going to have 2 pieces of this. So guys, this is the upper part, and this is 1 piece of the upper part. We are going to use this to cut out our lining piece for the collar part. So I'm just placing this down, and when we are done cutting this, we're going to have 2 pieces of the lining for each part of our upper bodies. So I'm just placing this down, and we're going to cut this out now. So you can see here that we have 2 pieces. I'm going to go ahead to iron interfacing. This is what it looks like. I've gone ahead to just iron interfacing on the 2 lining pieces, and I also went ahead to iron interfacing on the main bodies as well. You can see that I just did that on the part we are going to be having our collar alone. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take one of the lining pieces, and we're going to place them right sides facing each other, and then we're going to sew this together. From this point here, we're going to sew this all the way down. So please take note that you're not sewing all the way up from this point. You're taking it from here, and you're going to take it all the way down. So we're going to sew that and give it a good press. After that, we're going to set that aside and work on the collar piece. So this is the collar piece, and I'm just placing the both of them right sides facing each other. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to sew this together from this point here all the way down, and then we're going to take it like this and then bring it all the way up here. So we're going to sew that, but we're going to leave ½ inch sewing opening here so we can be able to turn this and iron it very well. So guys, this is what it is looking like after I was done sewing. I went ahead to trim off the excess. So now I'm just going to flip this to the other side so we can give it a good press, and then we're going to set this aside and work on our main dress. So guys, this is what the upper part is looking like, and you can see I went ahead to iron everything, and I opened up this part here and I just gave it a good press. So you can see what this is looking like right now. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to pin this together, and we're going to overlap it by 1 inch. So I'm just going to pin everything down so we can be able to join them together. So I'm going to take my pin now, and I'm going to pin this down.
After pinning this down, we are going to stitch down this part here and then bring in the lower part so we can attach this to the upper part. But like I said earlier, we are going to back stitch this part we have here before we go ahead to fix in this part. So we are going to lay it down like this, right sides facing each other, and then we're going to sew by 1/2 inch all the way down. After we're done joining, this is what it's looking like right now. We're going to go ahead to stitch on this part here and then fix in our fake buttons. You can also choose to fix in your buttonholes and just make your buttons real, whatever you prefer, but I'm going to be stitching mine down and adding buttons to them. So next I'm going to bring in the back piece and we're going to place them right sides facing each other so we can join the shoulder parts together. So I'm going to place this very well and we're going to hold this from this point here, and then we're going to sew by 1/2 inch from this point here all the way down, and we're going to do the same thing for the other side as well. So guys, this is what it's looking like right now, and you can see that we have an opening here at this part of the collar. We're going to get to that. So what we're going to do now is we're bringing in our collar and we're going to create a notch at the center to know where the center of the collar is. So I'm going to create a notch now, and then we're going to start fixing this on our dress. So I also created a notch at the midpoint of our dress so we know where the midpoint of the dress is. So I'm just opening up the collar and I went ahead to pin the notches for the collar and the main dress together. So we are just going to pin this all the way around so we can be able to sew on it. So I'm just going to pin this all the way around. So this is what we have when we're done. Now we're going to sew this from this point here all the way down to the very end by 1/2 inch. So let's go to the sewing machine. So this is what we have after we're done sewing. So next we're just going to close this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this to the wrong side. So this is the part we had initially. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this to the wrong side, and then we're going to sandwich it to the other part, meaning the collar is going to be in the middle, and we're going to place this lining piece on it, and then we're going to sew by 1/2 inch all the way down. And like I said earlier, if you have any questions, if you're confused about anything, please leave a comment and I will try my best to explain better. So guys, after I was done, this is what it's looking like. You can see what this part is looking like. So when we're done with everything, it should look something like this. The camp collar shape should look something like this. Now I'm going to flip it over to the other side to do the same thing for the other side of the collar as well. Where we stopped our sewing on this part here, we're going to flip this over to the wrong side, and we're going to sandwich our collar in the middle and place the lining piece on top of that, and we're going to just sew this all the way to the end of the lining part. So this is what we're doing. This is our collar here, and we're just laying this down, and then we're placing our lining piece on top of that, and we're going to sew on it. So after sewing now, I'm just going to flip this over to the other side so you can see what it's looking like right now. So this is what it's looking like. You can see that the cam collar is coming together now. So next, from where we have our lining piece, from the ending of the lining piece area, we're going to create a notch on both sides. This is going to help us finish up the other parts of the collar. So I'm just going to create a notch on both sides where our lining piece ends, as you can see. So we created our notch here. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to fold this in like so, the way you see me doing right now. I'm going to fold that part inwards and I'm going to pin it down. I'm going to fold by 1/2 inch and pin as I go. So we're going to just pin this all the way to the other side so we can be able to sew it down and have a clean finish. So we are done pinning this down, and this is what it looks like. So what we're going to do now is we're going to flip it over to the opposite side, to the right side rather, and we're going to just sew on this part here all the way down the way you would your normal collar. So we're going to go ahead to sew it down so everything stays in place. After sewing that down, I'm going to go ahead to just take out the pins and show you what our collar is now looking like. So guys, this is what our collar is looking like right now. So next we're going to flip this over to the other side so we can mark out our armhole opening and then just join the sides of the dress together. So guys, for the opening of my sleeve, I'm going to be working with 10 inches, and you can choose to make yours 9 inches, whatever you'd like, but I'm going to be making mine 10 inches. So I'm just going to mark out that 10 inches. So now I'm just going to sew from here all the way out by 1 inch, and then I'm going to take it down towards the bottom part of the dress, and we're going to take it all the way to the end of the dress. So after sewing, this is what it's looking like right now. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to get our scissors and we're going to create a notch at that point there, just to create ease at the armhole area so we can fold in our armhole. So the reason why we created a notch there is to enable us folding the tip of our armhole better. So we are going to go ahead to fold it all the way around, and when you're done with that, you should have something that looks like this. I've already went ahead to do the same thing for the other side of our armhole, so I'm going to go ahead to sew this one. And I also went ahead to fold the bottom part of our dress as well. I also went ahead to fold that, so please take note of that. So next we are going to go ahead to bring in our fringes. So this is the 20 inches fringe, and if you're working with a shorter length dress, I will advise you go with the 25 inches fringe. For me, the length that I'm working with is 40, so I went ahead to get the 20 inches fringe. So we are going to go ahead to fix this at the bottom part of our dress from the inside, and we're going to sew this round twice so it stays on properly. And also, if you're working with 25 inches fringe, you might want to come up 2 or 3 inches before you start fixing it to your dress. So if you're going to come up by 2 or 3 inches, you might do that from the inside or the outside, so take note of that as well. So guys, with that being said, we've come to the end of this video. If you found it helpful and you enjoyed watching, please do not forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not yet subscribed already, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.